What's up guys, it's James here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create realistic water like in the preview before. So to start off with, we're just going to want to add a sky just to give some nice reflections on our water when we do make the material. So to do that, we just come into here, and it is like a faded out circle with arrows pointing in diagonal directions. You click and hold this and then come down to sky, and that's your sky setup. Okay, now we're going to want to create our water, and to do this we get an emitter, which is in this little icon here, which is like a green square with loads of white dots coming out of it. So you just click and hold that and come over to emitter. So what we're going to want to do now is create our sphere, well, water that will come out of our emitter, and we do this by just getting a sphere and resizing this to however, well, to what scale you're working to. And for me it's going to be working around about 20 or 20 centimeters, probably good. Yeah, probably about 70. Yeah, and then all you're going to do is just drag this into the emitter. And if you press play, you should see that where these little white like things are is where our sphere should be when we render it out, as you can see there. And what we're going to want to do now is just edit a couple of things in some settings in our emitter. So you're going to want to turn the birth rate editor up to 100 and also the renderer up to 100. And then start emission, make sure that's on 0, and then stop emission, make sure that's at the end of your timeline, because you don't want to stop halfway through whilst you're rendering out. So now we're going to want to edit the speed of them and just crank that up to 500 and put the variation to 90% so there's hardly any variation, and show objects so you can just see them. Actually, it's probably best not to at the minute, because it does make your computer a tad bit laggy. Okay, so I think that is the emitter all set up. And also sorry, that's not. And also come into the emitter type and change that to cone. And I believe for the emitter, that's it. Yes. Okay, so you're gonna notice now that when it's coming out, it's not really water-like, as you can see. I mean, it's just got loads of spheres all over the place. And to correct this, we do this by getting a meta ball object and dragging the emitter in it. You guys should have heard of meta ball and you should know what it is. If not, I'd recommend to go check out some tutorials about it, or if you want me to make one, sure, just comment below. Anyway, so we're going to want a meta ball object, and we do this by coming into this little like white square surrounded by green squares in a sphere, well, circle around it, and you hold and click that and then come over to meta ball. Okay, you now make the emitter a child of the meta ball, and you will see that you just get this big white blob as such. And what we need to do now is just go into the meta ball settings and just change it around and make it look sexy. Yeah, why not? And we do this by going into the object tab in the meta ball object and change the hue setting to 200%, the editor subdivision to 5 cm, and the render keep as 5. Now you'll see that it's more of a like watery sort of shape as such. Okay then. Now what we're going to want to do is add some, actually no, we're going to create the texture of the water. So you do this by coming into this materials like area you've got down here and double clicking, and that will create a new material for you. And you then double click on the sphere of the material you want to edit, and it will bring this little tab up as such, and it's got all your settings and whatnot in here. So first off, let's go to transparency and click it and make sure the little arrow box is ticked in here, and you'll see that this makes the shape totally transparent almost. So we just want to bring that down a little bit to about 97% and turn up the refraction, and this will just make it a bit more visible. So turn the brightness down to 95% and the refraction to 1.4. And then we want to come over and change the absorption colour to a light, well, it's hard to explain, but like a royal bluish, like a light royal blue. So about there, yeah. And then go to the absorption distance and change this to 300 centimeter. Okay, now we're going to want to add some reflection to our water. So we go into reflection and click the little box, there's an arrow in it, and turn the brightness down to around about 12%ish, so 11 there. Okay, so we've kind of got the colour and how water would be, but we sort of haven't got the ripples and whatnot. So we do this by coming into bump, and we go into bump and press tick, and so we activate the bump field. And now what we're going to do is we just come down into texture and then add some noise. So let's add some noise, and you'll see you get loads and loads of it's just crazy. So we just change this a little bit. So we double click that and we have all our shader settings here. Okay, so what we do now is we change the noise type first off to over, which is there, and we change the global scale to 600, and I believe that is it for the bump. And as you'll see, we'll get that sort of wrinkly sort of how water would react. And I don't know whether we should change any of the specular. Probably best to bring the width down to around about 18% and boost the height up to 100, so you get that nicer reflections on the light. And now we're just going to drag that onto our metaball object, and let's just see how it looks. So as you can see, we're getting pretty nice sort of water there, but not amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the radius of the water down to around about 12. Probably look best. And if we look at that now, that looks a lot better. So I've tuned the radius of the sphere in the emitter down to around about 12. It looks a lot better. Okay, so we've got this, and if we just play, it doesn't come out very watery, as you can see. So to change it to get like gravity affecting it and whatnot, so it actually looks like water, what we're going to do is we're just going to tilt the object, the metaball object, just a tad bit, so we get the water flying up into the air, and then we're going to add some gravity and turbulence to bring it back down and look like it's more realistic. So if we just tilt the metaball on to around about 28 degrees on the middle one in the chord tab of the metal object, so we get a nice steep slope of it going up. So you're probably thinking, that looks even worse than before, but we're now going to add some effectors into it, and we're going to have gravity and turbulence into it, and just make it a bit more realistic. And we do this by coming back to the green square with all them white dots coming out of it and coming over to gravity. Okay, so for gravity we're just going to want to move it a tad bit up and diagonally. So if you move it here and about here, and then go into the settings and just have a look at it and see what it's like. So acceleration, you're gonna want to move this up to around about 900-ish, and fall off, make sure that's on infinity. So you should have a bit of gravity coming down your water there, and as you can see, it's looking a lot more like water there. Starting to look a lot better, but it doesn't look too realistic still, so we're going to add a bit of turbulence into it. Also, you might want to move the gravity a bit further up as well, further up and away. Just mess around with this yourself, and whatever you find works best, just like trial and error, and whatever works best for you is that. Okay, now to add turbulence, we want to go back into where we got gravity, click and hold, and look for turbulence and click, well, release. And for this, just move it a bit further out and up of your metaball object. And then go into the tab, then click on turbulence and go into the object tab. And change the strength to 50 centimeters and the scale to 10%. And if we now play, that will look a lot more like water, as you can see. And if we just render it out, pause that and render it out, it's already looking really nice. So that is how to create realistic water. If you liked the tutorial, please check by my channel, see what else I've got, and if you like it, give us a subscribe. It'd be really cool if you did. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and learnt some really awesome things. I'll see you later then, guys. Peace.